Now, one of Wall Street's biggest banking and investment firms says prices on everyday goods are likely to jump in a matter of weeks. Goldman Sachs says companies that absorb the costs of President Trump's tariffs are now set to pass a big chunk of those increases onto shoppers. Well, KCAL political reporter Tom Wade is here. Tom, up until now, prices have remained largely stable, right? But things are about to change?
Yeah, and Pat, we've been talking about this for a while, right? Economists predicting that the tariffs will eventually be passed on to consumers, and there's been a delay on it. So we got some explanations tonight on that. So economists say consumers have been somewhat shielded so far from price hikes connected to President Trump's tariffs, in part because it takes time to implement all of these tariffs and because manufacturers have absorbed more of the cost. Well, Goldman Sachs says that's about to change. A record-breaking rebound in July at the Port of L.A.
The Port of Los Angeles has just recorded our all-time record cargo movement in a single month.
The surge in port traffic follows a dismal showing in May, where port volume dropped to levels not seen since the pandemic. Port officials blamed President Trump's tariffs and say the bounce back may be short-lived.
Much of this volume was fueled by importers hustling to bring in cargo ahead of potential tariff hikes later this month and beyond.
As the port whiplash continues, top economists are blaring this warning. Brace yourself for a wave of much higher prices. According to Goldman Sachs, one of Wall Street's biggest banking and investment firms, foreign manufacturers and importers were able to absorb 3/4 of price hikes due to tariffs so far this year, keeping prices relatively stable. That will end this fall, Goldman predicts, with consumer prices increasing significantly. Goldman Sachs economist David Miracle on CNBC Wednesday.
If the most recent tariffs, like the April tariff, follow the same pattern that we've seen with those earliest February tariffs, then eventually, by the fall, we estimate that consumers would bear about 2/3 of the cost.
President Trump lashed out at Goldman Sachs on social media, claiming the bank whiffed on its prediction that tariffs would choke the economy and said prices through the roof. Goldman Sachs says they stand by their forecast.
There are implementation lags that delay these effects.
Inflation has remained fairly stable since Trump launched his tariff trade war, though prices have ticked up. But economists say it's only a matter of time before that changes.
It takes a while for the effect of tariffs to work their way through the system. Initially, with people expecting tariffs, many vendors bought lots of things from abroad to stockpile before they had to pay the tariffs. And so they're now selling out of those stockpiles. As they're depleted, they have to go out and replenish them, but they're going to have to pay the tariffs. And so when that happens, they'll be passing along the tariffs. So it takes a little while, but it's going to happen. There's no question about it.
And as kids head back to school, parents might get sticker shock when they're buying new clothes and school supplies. Local political and school leaders denounced the tariffs today.
How can our families afford the backpacks, the binders, the calculators, the pens and pencils that are required?
Another side effect, experts say, of Trump's tariffs, uncertainty, making it harder for big and small businesses to plan for the short and long term. Income from the tariffs from the U.S. Treasury set a record, but even still, the budget deficit in July climbed 20% this fiscal year compared to last year. Pat.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Tom.